Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. In today's video I will be sharing 4 tips to stop losing ball possession, which will improve your chance creation so that you can dominate and outplay your opponent in eFootball. But before we're gonna do that, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more eFootball content, and for now enjoy this video. Starting off with the first one, my biggest tip to implement into your game is being aware of the indicator on top of your opponent's player and reading his movements before giving a pass or going for a dribble. In this example where I'm facing a Division 1 player, you can see my opponent is selecting Bellingham trying to mark Vieira, and that means I shouldn't pass into that direction. Based on the player he is selecting, I decide to pass it to my clear option and recycle the play again. And then my opponent is selecting Griezmann, and looking at the player's body, he's running into the direction of my teammate and trying to cut a potential passing lane. I read his movement, went toward the opposite direction instead and passed in front of me, and that's how I simply outplayed my opponent and kept possession on the high pressure by just being aware of the indicator above my opponent's player and made my decision based on that. So let your opponent make the first move and then anticipate. This is another example to show you that this tip goes on every part of the pitch. Based on the indicator above my opponent's player, I simply turn with Kimmich to the other side and don't have to be afraid of his teammates that aren't being selected. This gave me the time and opportunity to turn to the other side and switch flanks. And because he's still selecting one of these attackers and even calling for pressure, I can simply pass it to my CF without my passing lane being covered. And then once again my opponent is selecting the player behind me, and that means I turn into the opposite direction and have space in front of me to go for a 1v1 battle. And when Rodrigo is going one-on-one, you guys already know what time it is. Unfortunately for this guy, he haven't been watching my Defend Like a Pro video and should have known that dropping down with your last defender would have been the better option. In the last example, I got the ball in midfield and noticing my opponent selecting the player on the right side, that means he doesn't have any eyes on Messi. After giving the pass to Messi, I scan again, and this time he selects Baresi to block the pass lane to Rodrigo, and that means I can turn to the opposite direction to go for a 1v1 with his last defender. After controlling the ball, he immediately changed his cursor to the last defender to press and stop the 1v1 dribble and leaves Rodrigo alone. And that's my moment to go for a 1-2. I take another touch with Rodrigo to see what my opponent will do. Will he press or drop down to block the 1-2? He decides to press, and that gave me the free opportunity to pass it back to Messi. And the same again with Messi. I take another touch with Messi to see what my opponent will do with his goalkeeper. On the highest level, I always expect most of my opponents to make use of manual goalkeeping. Because of selecting the goalkeeper, I go for another touch into the opposite direction and finish easily. And all this because of being aware of the indicator on top of my opponent's players. It sounds easy, but the more you focus on the tip, the less you lose the ball. The second tip goes along with awareness and decision making, and that is body positioning, which is my biggest priority in my possession game. You have to make sure that your player's body's positioning is at a great angle or taking an extra touch to get the right angle to give the right pass. We often want to rush our passes and go for loads of one-touch passes to create our chances, as you can see in this example. And that's one of the main reasons of losing ball possession. If we rewind this clip, you can see that all 3 players in front of me were being covered by one player. The better option for me would have been to take an extra touch in the opposite direction of my opponent to create the space for myself and then give the pass. So taking an extra touch to get the right pass angle makes a huge difference. And then in this example, you can see that Kaka's back is facing towards my teammates. What I do is take in 1 or 2 extra touches to get the right angle, so both of my options will be within my 180 degree side, and when your teammates are positioned in that 180 degree side, you can give the perfect passes. Based on my opponent's indicator, I won't take the risk to pass it forwards and went for a side pass instead to switch flanks, as that's where the space is. After giving the pass, there's lots of space on the right side of the pitch where I can outnumber my opponent, but Vieira isn't facing his body towards my teammates, so I take another touch and then give a through pass. So instead of rushing your passes, take another touch to get the right pass angle and then move on. And in this last example, I will show you that patience is key. I want to move forwards, but David's back is facing towards my teammates, so I take a turn to get the right angle. After the pass, I go for a 1-2 between Rodrigo and Kaka. Both players do have the one-touch pass skill, but I only did it with Rodrigo because Kaka was in his side. And Kaka on the other hand is not facing Rodrigo, and even though he has the one-touch pass as well, I know that the through pass is going to be a misplaced pass because the pass isn't going to be within his 180 degree side. So I take another touch to get the right angle and then give the through pass to Rodrigo, and then it's just a matter of finishing. And that's why body positioning is very important to stop losing ball position. We then go to probably my most used feature in the game, and that's safe dribbling. What I mean with safe dribbling is taking touches away from the opposing pressure, and in simple words, keeping your back towards the opponent when controlling the ball. This is a great example of safe dribbling. I control the ball without using the sprint button for better control and keep my back towards the opposing pressure. It looks simple, but trust me, maybe 90% of the players I'm facing don't have the patience for that and control the ball straight towards the opponent and then lose the ball. Such small details can really improve your possession game and will prevent you from conceding goals. Safe dribbling in the last third of the pitch can be very useful as well, and especially when your CF is under pressure, as you will see in this example. In this situation, most of the players would have taken the touch towards the goal. Instead, I take the touch away from the opposing pressure and then pass it to my teammate. After a great move by Cancelo, I pass it to Messi and implement safe dribbling again by keeping my back towards the opponent to open a gap and then assist it to the running Romario and finish it off clinically. And then we have the last tip, something most of the players are not doing, and that's recycling. With recycling, you pass the ball to the back again when there are no passing options in front of you. The point of recycling is to reorganize again, especially after winning the ball back, as you can see in this example. I try to break out with Vinny, but don't have any passing options in front of me. I recycle, I pass it to the back, and I invite the opposition to press again. Because my opponent is pressing, he will leave a gap behind him, and that's the space where I pass it to. In the meantime, when you're recycling, you give your teammates the time to reposition themselves so you can play your game again and outplay your opponent. And of course, I sometimes rush it and do make mistakes as well. In this last example, you can see that I intercept the ball and try to pass it forward to go for a quick outbreak. What I should do is recycle and pass it back to my goalkeeper and then open to my other CB to play it safe. But unfortunately, I didn't notice that most of my players were out of position, and still I went for the pass forwards and lost possession. And suddenly my opponent has a chance to score, all because of my silly mistake of rushing it. So try to recycle more often to get control of the game, and especially when you're winning. You don't have to score another one. Your opponent is the one that needs to score, needs to press, and needs to do the hard work. Invite them to press, and then they will leave gaps behind them for you so you can outplay your opponent. Alright guys, these were my 4 tips that will help you stop losing ball possession. These are the ones that I use in every match, and especially when playing on the highest level. If it was a useful video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to my channel for more eFootball content. I want to thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one. Peace out.